Warning. This podcast is about to open the sealed section of spirituality. Hey you, yeah you, we see you, you divine human being.
And we are calling you to come home.
We are ready to talk about the real shit. We're going to get real about life as a divine human being.
The good, the not so great, spirituality and taboo. Divinely Human is the podcast that's all about what it means to be human in a spiritual context.
We know it's not just about being spiritual, it's about being human too.
And that means changing poopy nappies and channeling angels.
Sometimes even at the same time. It's time for us to stop making other people's noise our own soundtrack of life.
Let's make some waves together so that we can all ride them together and create deep resonance, a sense of home in this crazy world.
Pour yourself a coffee
or a glass of wine if that's your potion,
and sit down with your new favorite spiritual sisters
as we go on a journey together into what it means to be
a divine human being
on this spiritual journey.
Hi, and welcome to the Divinely Human podcast. I am your co-host, Aleisha.
And I am Tanita.
We are really excited to dive into this topic today. It just came out of the blue a little bit. But also, of course, it's something that we've kind of both noticed lately and kind of seen this topic pop up a few times. So we're excited to kind of dive into it and see where it takes us. And we are kind of wanting to dive into the narrative around money and wealth and how that's associated or isn't for some people, is with some, with happiness, with joy, with, fulfillment as well. So I think that that's a really interesting topic, especially with what's going on in the world right now. You were just talking about the fact that we have noticed that, a lot of like the news outlets and stuff are talking about, a recession and all of that happening. And I've had a few conversations already about, money and wealth this morning and kind of given my POV on it. But I'm really interested to hear how you feel about that narrative that, can it buy happiness? Can it not buy happiness? Or like, where are you on that standpoint?
Yeah, I think this is a really fascinating topic. And for anybody who doesn't know, I've actually been working within the financial planning industry for almost 5 years now. So my view around money has been both a very logical, strategic, masculine, traditional, structured way, as well as a very spiritual, esoteric kind of this different perspective to maybe the energetics around money more so. So I kind of come and I always look at money with both of these lenses. And I think that, like, if you're talking about money as a singular kind of entity, I think it can give you whatever you want. I think that if we're looking through it in an esoteric kind of way, that, your relationship with money is yours, and it really is about what you're asking money to do for you and what you're asking of money. And do I think that relying on money to give you happiness is necessarily good? No, I don't. But I do believe that money can bring you happiness if that's what you truly believe. What do you reckon?
I agree with you. All the way. And I didn't even think about that before we started, the fact that you literally work in this industry. When you said that, I was like, duh. Like, why did I not say that at the start? Because you have such a strong footing in this industry and you're working with people directly when it comes to that. Like, oh my goodness, like financial planning, that's the forefront of this topic almost. So I'm really interested to kind of dive into that a little bit more. My point of view on money and happiness and joy pretty much is that it's very similar to yours and what you were just speaking about. And I really think that it is up to what we decide to do with, the currency that we're holding on to. And it is a vehicle. We're behind the steering wheel here. We get to choose what we do with it. And I have seen both sides. I've seen, it tear people apart, tear families apart, tear, wreak, absolute havoc on people's lives. But it's not it. It's us, and it's our mindset. And I have seen other people who have really, prospered in, control of their money and receiving, large sums of money. So it's like, it's not the money. It's us, right? Like it's our mindset, it's our values. Like, what are your values when it comes to money? But also I genuinely feel like, and I've really learned this actually from doing the those workshops that we did with Victoria Washington, like just reframing how I actually feel about money, because I feel like I had a really bad relationship with it and I didn't want it at one point in my life. I thought that it was money that was toxic. I didn't want money, and I used to tell myself like it doesn't bring happiness. And then I feel like I've spent the last probably 3 years healing that mentality around money and realizing that it is just the vehicle and I'm the driver of that, and I get to choose who and what, I guess what I want to do with money, how I feel about it, how it affects my life, and also what I guess I can use it for as a means of a tool. So for me, it's like it brings me freedom. It brings me flexibility in my life, Having money allows me to spend more time with my kids and not have to go back to, a 9 to 5 from what I was doing, like bringing money through my business and stuff like that. So I think it really does depend on what your values are.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think, it's not just fair to say money brings us happiness, because it truly is about what you are trying to manifest from that money, what you're trying to bring through from that money. And we can make our money work for us in so many ways. And I really resonate with your story around, I didn't have a great relationship with money. That was the same for me. I subconsciously thought that money was only for really rich, old, mean people. And, I came into this particular role, which was so serendipitous, and really had to face so much like negative money stories that are constantly passed down. And the one thing that I see over and over again, it's really not about how much money you have. You can have $50 million and still be depressed and sad and lonely and have no love in your life. Or you can have $2 in the bank and have that. And that's because no matter how much money you have, money is just coming into your life. It's not making it, it's not making you any different. Your habits and behaviors and beliefs and values, they will remain the same unless you change them. And money is just a resource. It's just a tool. It doesn't have this magical ability to transform everything unless you make it so. And I think that it's so important for us to discuss really sticky, icky topics like money, because they run through every area of our life. And money is something that has been around since the beginning of time. And if not money, the idea of money and being able to trade and, spend a particular resource that you have to retain something else. So it's something that's not just a part of our lineage, but it's a part of everyday society. And I think it's really easy, this is coming from a Pisces soul, to stick your head in the sand and be like, oh, it's fine, like I'll look at that later. But talking about both the esoteric side and the very strategic side is very important, I find. So I'm glad we're talking about this today.
Yeah, I feel you on that. And I've had this weird observation, and I'm just sort of reflecting on it now that we're speaking about this. And I find it really interesting is that before I actually healed my mindset around money, and like before I dug into what it actually is, and I'm not one of those people that are like, oh, money's an energy. Like, I don't think it is. I think that it's a tool and it's a vehicle. But once I understood kind of like what that means for me, and I've healed that, I guess, mentality around it. Because when you said like you thought it was only for like old, already like rich men, I was like, oh my God, like that's so funny, because that's the idea that I had too. I'm like, oh, I'm not.
Oh, really?
It was like, it came into like, it's like, almost like I thought that I had to be born into that or something.
Yes.
Or like like my family had to have acquired that and then like it was bestowed upon me. So like, I guess family money and all of that, those narratives and stuff like that. But my observation is that once I healed my relationship with money and what I thought it was, and also became really clear about how I actually wanted to utilize it in my life, and the fact that I was worthy of it, just as worthy as, I don't know, some other person that has a lot or whatever, I feel like it just went poof, and I haven't had any money worries since then. I have not worried about money. I felt like money has flowed to me. I don't want to say effortlessly because I work fucking hard, but but in a way where I haven't felt like it's ever been from a place of desperation when I'm making money now. It's always like the benefit, the bonus, the like a joy. Like I enjoy making money now as opposed to, oh my God, I have to make money. I'm struggling. I need to pay this bill. I'm really stressed. I really want to save for this and I can't. Like it's just healing that mindset around it, healing and not just healing, but understanding what it is for me has enabled me to kind of just live my life and allow it to have a place in my life. But I haven't allowed it to rule my life anymore because I can understand what I can do with it and what it can bring me, and also the positivity that it does hold for me personally. I speak this from myself only, not from anyone else's point of view, but I understand what it can do for me and my family, and that does bring me joy and happiness.
Yeah, I love that. What's that saying? It's like, you know, the goal or the aim isn't necessarily to be tied to money for the rest of our lives, but to actually be free from it, right? And to be free from the constant enslavement that it puts our minds through around worrying about where every dollar is going and coming from. And when you really release yourself from those negative beliefs or connotations around money, you actually free your mind up so much. And my story is actually a little bit different to yours. Like I still like think about money constantly. I'm always thinking about different things that we can do, and I'm always thinking about that, but I know that the effect that it has on my nervous system is a lot different to what it used to be. Like I was living out of home when I'm 17. I grew up in a space where one of my family members had a lot of money and the other one didn't. And so I've constantly been in this like, can I have it? Can I not have it? This push and pull energy, and getting really clear on what's been passed down to me from not just my parents, but my extended family, the people that I see on TV, my ancestors, what I'm seeing in the workplace, getting clear about what's constantly being pushed into my mind and into my belief system about money that's making me behave in a way that's not actually aligned to my highest good or not aligned to my values and the way that I want money to coexist with me in this lifetime has been so fucking helpful, because there's been times, and I'm sure anybody can relate to this, where you've wanted money just to say that you fucking got it. It's not bringing you anything other than the fact that you've got 10 grand in the bank and you can say that now, right? Where do we see so much this like 6-figure business entrepreneur? It's like, yeah, but why? Like we have to dig a little bit deeper, otherwise it's always going to feel fucking empty. So I think it's important to excavate those beliefs, those values, and what's actually being passed down to you and why you want that. Because you're never going to be in a really great place with money if you're constantly chasing it and waiting for it to give you this magical key to happiness. But if you can figure out a sovereign relationship with it where you can work together, like collaboratively, and it can be a resource to give you or support you in finding more happiness, then I think that's really amazing, and it's a great place for a lot of people to be in their relationship with money, right?
Absolutely. And I see that all the time too. I so agree with you. There are so many money mindset coaches out there, but what they fail to do is actually educate on like what that means for the people they're working with individually. Like they're all out there, like they lay it out, like what it means to them and how they feel about it and what it does for them, but there's no deeper excavation and exploration of what that means for the individual. And I think that a lot of people then take these experiences and they work with these people who do sell them like their idea of what they think money brings to their life, but it's not for them, it's for the person they're working with, right? So then there's a high chance that you're going to end up really fucking unhappy because you've just been sold someone else's dream, right?
Yeah.
I think that is such a problem in this space when we do see that. And I see it a lot. I'm always seeing like everyone's got no qualms whatsoever about telling everyone in the space how much they're earning and how good their life is. But that doesn't mean that it's going to be good for the next person that comes along that purchases your experience to work with you.
Mm-hmm.
That is where I feel like the weak link is in this like money mindset industry. I mean, we don't really do that sort of work, but for some reason it's always very linked with spirituality for some reason. And
you know why? It's because, and like I was thinking about this at one point in my career journey as well, it's because there's so much fucking work that goes into being a financial planner or an accountant and there's a lot of restrictions on actually being a wealth coach, and a lot of people can get into a lot of trouble if they're giving you advice that isn't in alignment with the guidelines, especially in Australia. So talking about money from this esoteric kind of point of view is a way for people to still talk about money, but the energetics of money. So it's money, but it's not really money. And so that's why we have to be really careful. And this is why I haven't really dipped my toes in it too much, because there is still a lot of restriction in the industry, both just the financial industry and the spiritual financial industry. Yeah. And it's a part of our safety as a culture. If you don't have a lot of money, it's really hard to be able to afford things like food, which you need to survive, and a safe place to, be, which you need to survive. So I think it's really, really important, if you're ever going to go get financial advice from a spiritual practitioner or an energetics coach or anything, that you really are just looking about, what am I about to absorb, And it's hard because I hold a really soft spot for spiritual and wealth energetic coaches, because I think there's such a place for it. And I wish that at some point in our future, both of these kind of lenses can find a way to connect. And if anybody knows any creators out there that do have a financial background and still talk about the energetics, I would love to hear them. Like, send me a DM, because I'm constantly looking for people who have a solid financial education but are grounded and rooted in spirituality. I think that's really fucking that's a unicorn.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that there's such a distinguishment between like a Reiki practitioner deciding that they're a wealth coach overnight, and then someone, I'm just going to use you as an example, someone who has a background in like financial planning and managing funds, who also then has your spiritual side as well, where you've got all of these other modalities that you're equally as gifted in, bringing those together. So I think that there needs to be a lot more discernment in the industry, but also I feel like practitioners need to understand that money just isn't an energy. It is a lot more complex than that. So like just purely teaching the energetics of it isn't enough, right? It's like you need to go through the process. I don't even know what your process is, but I'm assuming the industry that you have your corporate job in involves you going through a process with people of like really understanding like, the next best step, and how it's certain individual is able to manage their funds that's going to bring through, like a healthy lifestyle and a healthy relationship with money, and making those right decisions. Because side note, I see so many people in the industry as well. They're like, oh, like come take my, like it's like some washed up Reiki practitioner, and they're like, oh, come take my money mindset masterclass. Yeah. And it's like, it's only a $48,000 investment. And I'm like, well, that's not a very smart money move, is it? like you could take
come and spend like all that you have on this, and like, no guarantee to earn money at all.
Absolutely.
Right?
Like I'll tell you a smarter move to make. Take that 48 grand to a fucking property broker and ask him where to invest that. Go invest in a property for 48 grand. You know what I mean? So I find like I'm really I'm like, I don't want to have a problem with them, but I do have a problem with them because I think that it's really, really sneaky, and they kind of like it's like they're trying to teach people about money, but then also not having any background in it, right? Like any like formal background in it. And let's be honest, like I know that a uni degree or like any sort of course that you do, like yes, sometimes we don't need to do those, but when you're dealing with people's money, like it is a really, really solidifying value to have that, you know, that tangible, logical knowledge that comes with that. I think they go hand in hand. It's not just an energy. But yeah, sorry, I just digressed on that whole subject.
No, I love it. And I totally agree, because I think that transparency is number one for anybody who's in this industry or even looking to change their money mindset or change their beliefs. Transparency from whoever you're consuming this information from is so, so important, because the truth is, like, if you're investing in a six-figure coach who's teaching you how to make six figures, I would want to know what the fuck they're doing with all those six figures. Do they still have six figures, or are they spending it just recklessly? Like, because no matter how much money you have, if your behaviors and your beliefs and your mindset and your values aren't changed or aren't, you know, in alignment with you, then it doesn't matter about the money. It doesn't matter how much you have. It's always going to be the same. And I've noticed that myself. Like, I am still constantly working on my money habits, my money beliefs, what I'm doing with my money. And I noticed I just got promoted at my job. I've been in there for a couple of months, and I'm like, where is this money? But nothing has changed, because my beliefs and my habits are still the same. So if I'm a spender and I'm getting more money in the bank, I'm going to continue to spend that. It's not going to matter if I'm getting $2,000 more a month or, you know, $10,000 more a month. So if you're investing in a coach, I just want you to understand that, like, it's more than just the money. It's so much more than the money.
It is. It's how you hold the money. It's like, like, you can make as much money as you want, but do you have the capacity to be able to hold wealth and make those decisions that actually allow you to prosper and still bring through happiness and joy, but also really smart fucking decisions? Like, is it just sitting in your bank account? Like, there's no use educating people on money and mindset unless you're actually educating people on how to hold the fucking money and make, you know.
And not just the frequency of money.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay, now let's hold $2,000 in our auric system. I'm like, fuck that. Like, I want the actual $2,000 so I know what I'm doing with it. Like, and I get the idea of like warming your nervous system up to money, and I do appreciate money energetics, but I also think that in this spiritual community, it's very easy to overlook the material aspect. So much talk about entering 5D and leaving the material world, and it's just like we're still in it, and there is still so much value. Otherwise, all of our consciousness would not be here on Earth. It would be up in the 11th, 12th dimension, but we're actually here right now. So let's work with the material, because there's obviously still lessons that we need to learn.
Yes, like, you know? We're still here. We're all going to wind up probably with mortgages and bills. And I mean, if you wind back the clock to the start of time, like, we were trading since day dot. Like, ancient tribes would trade. No, it wasn't necessarily plastic notes, but it was commodities of value that was being traded, you know, from community to community, which is kind of the same concept of like holding money today and where we're putting our money. Like, is it a smart move? Is it a stupid, like, do you know what I mean? Like, we are here to do that. We are here to negotiate, and we're here to trade, and we're here to make those decisions with our wealth. And, you know, when we're not getting on a rocket ship anytime soon, and zooming off
much to Elon Musk's sadness,
zooming off into 5D or fucking moving to Mars, it's not happening. And I'm sorry for all of those disappointed people listening right now. it's not happening. We're here to have the human experience. We're here to experience the 3D, and anyone who's sitting there telling you that they're operating from 5D, I would probably fucking run. But
I would question where they're living and the clothes on their back and how they're even telling you that they're like, do they not have a phone in their face? I don't understand.
Yes, exactly. So we are here to have that experience. Otherwise, our soul would not have chosen this experience. We would not be here living on Earth. Yes, we can tap into these other realms and these other dimensions, but we are essentially here to have that 3D experience, which involves handling and, exploring the idea of money and really playing an active role in it as well, not just sitting on the sidelines like I used to do, sitting on the sidelines just like observing but never really wanting to play an integral part of my own, I guess, wealth journey and handling my own money and that sort of thing. I'd always leave it to in the past, when I look at, I guess, past relationships that I've had, I've always just kind of like left my partner up to it. I'm like, oh yeah, cool, yeah, let's buy a house, cool, okay, you handle all that shit. Like, you just let me know how much you need me to, how much wealth you need me to create to help you do this, but you just handle all the rest. But now I actually really enjoy playing an active role in it and playing around with it in a way, making those decisions and being I guess it is just taking control of my money and making sure that I am working on my mindset with it and really working with my values and how I view it and doing the personal work that comes with it too, self worth and stuff like that, because we're never going to hold money if we don't think that we're worthy to hold money, right?
Yeah, 100%. And I can attest to your money journey for the past year because we've taken a lot of courses and workshops together around money. And we've both kind of come in with the perspective of you know what, I want to learn from this person, but I'm not going to take everything for gospel just for the sake of them being a money mentor.
Yes.
We've really done the work to look inside and do that inner work and then see how it actually aligns with our life and what we want. And I think that clarity and that autonomy is really, really important. So yeah, I'm curious to see how everybody's receiving this because it is a really big topic. It's a really, really, really big topic and we totally get it. We're constantly evolving our relationship with money. We are constantly being shown different angles of it through the news, through our friends, our family, and so it's an ever-evolving topic. I'm curious to see how this landed for you guys. If you know anybody who maybe would benefit from hearing our conversation on money, please send it to them. We really are here to just be as transparent as possible and just to kind of cut through any bullshit noise that's in our industry. We're so sick of it. And, for any money mentors listening, continue doing what you're doing, but maybe just do it with 10% more transparency. Or if you're doing that, amazing. I love you. Thank you for showing up. And we'll see you next week.